This is the Stock Day Podcast, sponsored by Ion Digital, providing secure, compliant ecosystems you can trust. That's Ion Digital. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube to stay up to date on penny stock news and interviews. Public information on OTC, pink sheets, and microcap stocks from around the world. Here's your host, Kevin Davis.
On today's show, we're bringing back a returning guest. They were last with us in March of earlier this year. Name of the company is Flux Power. They trade on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol FLUX. With us today to bring us up to speed is the company's CEO, Mr. Ron Dutt. Ron, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Kevin. Glad to be with you today.
Wonderful. Before we get started in the Q&A, give my new listeners an updated about statement. What do you guys do over there at Flux Power?
Sure. We design and manufacture and sell lithium battery packs for forklifts, the trucks on the airport, and other related applications. So it's really providing advanced sustainable energy for industrial and commercial uses.
Absolutely. And I know lithium-ion has been, very popular and exciting for, investors and industries alike. It's been a pretty busy year in that industry. How has your company fit into that? And what is the latest with your company in terms of lithium-ion and your diversification in it?
Sure. It's been an exciting time the last few years with all the supply chain disruptions, but our business has just continued in an unabated way just because of the strong demand to migrate from lead acid to lithium iron. Our customers can move more stuff at a lower product life cycle cost. So this year, so far, we've seen a lot of those supply chain bumps like shortages of chips and increased prices in freight and steel abate. So that's been good. Meanwhile, our business demand has continued. We have relationships with large customers as they continue to buy from us on an ongoing basis because we're their supplier. We're adding new customers. I would say that there's still some residual effect from the supply chain that causes a little lumpiness, but we're all dealing with that just fine.
Yeah, I think one of the other important items to consider here is renewable energy and the push towards it, also with an emphasis on, the industry and remaining solvent. I believe you said that less than 10% of lead acid battery packs have ever been replaced. How does that work?
Yeah, in the sectors we're focused on, material handling and airport equipment, there's a preponderance of lead acid driving all that equipment. To a lesser extent, there's propane and fuel cells, but it's primarily electric and lead acid. And so the migration has been, now that lithium is economically viable over the past years and provides an advanced form of energy so that the customers, as I said before, can move more at a cheaper cost, there's a strong demand to replace it. So right now, the best estimates we can get from our bankers is about 8 or 9% penetration of lithium. So it's still fairly early days, but the growth rates are double digits of conversion from lithium. From lead acid to lithium. So it's a very exciting time. All the companies we deal with, and we deal with the Fortune 500 companies, and they all have initiatives to migrate toward renewable energy, and it's great. With our solution, they can save money at the same time. So a strong movement there. It's exciting, and the big fleets that we deal with, Fortune 500 companies, have just really an endless supply of business as they migrate their fleets, which are spread across the United States and in fact globally as well.
Wow. Now, from what I understand, your company is on track to generate significant annual revenue between 65 and 70 million. Could you tell us more about that?
We have been growing at over 50% annual growth rates for the past 4 years. So, granted, it's been early days, but the numbers are really starting to be very impressive and in growing to the numbers you mentioned. We're at a run rate year to date of about $65 million. For our fiscal year to date, which ends June 30th. So, the progress is good. The demand's there. We work with these large companies that give us indications of their growth for the next year or two. We don't get orders in all at once. We get them in more closely to when forklifts are being delivered and batteries will go on those new forklifts. But all of those trends and inertia that we have that I've mentioned are just continuing.
Ron, certain analysts are talking about your company. There's a lot of buzz. They've actually updated the recommendation to a buy. Can you elaborate on that? Tell me about some of them. Give me the story. What's up with it?
Sure. There are three analysts that cover us, E.F. Hutton, Maxim Group, and H.C. Wainwright. They're showing a buy, and when you look at the trends that I spoke about in our recent earnings recall, which they're responding to, you see revenue continuing to grow at double-digit rates with a very strong upward curve, reflecting our business over the past couple of years. Similarly with gross margin, another very positive upward growth rate, 15% gross margin a couple years ago, just reported the past quarter over 30%, and EBITDA similarly showing those strong upward curves. And finally, along with the continuing revenue from our Fortune 500 customers, which many are household names who have chosen us to be a long-term supplier, and adding new customers each quarter, including the last quarter.
Wow. Yeah, and I just kind of want to re-unpack some of the items here. You guys are in a great industry. We just talked about, some of the metrics in terms of performance and the analysts. What do you think's next for Flux Power?
Well, what's next for Flux Power is our first priority right now is reaching profitability, and those trends I just mentioned are all leading to profitability. We have weekly war rooms. I'm very confident in our execution on that. And when you look at those, we don't give forward guidance, but you can extend those numbers and see that near term we're going to be reaching profitability, which is critical for us in the market that we're in. As we move from there onward and continue our profitability, we are looking at leveraging partnerships to scale our growth. This company, from the beginning, 10 years ago, adopted a strategy of becoming the leading supplier of lithium-ion adoption to drive industrial equipment in these sectors, such as material handling and airport ground support. And we see that as very doable, and given the infrastructure, the reputation that we've established in the industry to work to leverage this with partnerships to continue that growth in scaling the business. So I think we're very excited about that next coming phase, and already working on that.
Folks, you've been listening to Ron Dutt. He's the CEO of Flux Power. They do trade on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol FLUX. You can also check them out online at www.fluxpower.com. I'll tell you what, Ron, a lot of exciting updates to unpack in the future. What do you want to leave your investors with today from this podcast?
Well, I'd certainly want people to be aware of our momentum, our growth, our reputation, our strategy. We continue with the growth despite some of the lumpiness from the supply chain, just because of the new demand and adding new customers. Our backlog currently is over $30 million, so it's continued to see that longer-term trend that really reflects robust demand for our products.
Wonderful. Ron, thank you so much for sitting down with us today. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Glad to be with you.
This program is entirely sponsored and produced by La Jolla Media, LLC, which is responsible for the content. The opinions and information provided on this program are for educational and research purposes. Stock Day encourages all listeners of this program to do their due diligence and research when determining investment strategies that will work for them, or to seek the assistance of an investment professional.